Paul.
Good morning, Al. Oh, I'm sorry. Good evening.
Good morning. Are you in Seattle?
I am in Seattle. Yeah, it is 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Did you have your coffee?
I had my coffee. I just hoping the kids, when they wake up, don't storm the office.
Good. It's good to see you, Paul. As always, we meet you in a high energy, even if it's 7 a.m. in the morning. I bet you even did your morning run or morning
right
walk.
after this.
Okay, good. So I'm very excited today to introduce you to Paul. Some of you might already know because we have a decent amount of followers of Paul Estes here at Future of Work Turkey. And I've met Paul a few years ago. He's one of the pioneers that always has strong influence all over the world, including myself. And you may know him from his amazing newsletter, which attracts over 100,000 people. And he built the on-demand talent space in Microsoft. And previously he was running, he was the chief community officer at Mural. And now he's in an early stage venture, which he may tell us more about, called Put People. And yeah, stage is yours, Paul. And,
thank you very much, Alp. I'm going to share my screen. Mm-hmm. And I have a couple of slides that I put together to hopefully share with folks.
Perfect. Perfect. I'll just let you be.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I'm having technical, let's see. And can people see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, today I want to talk about a concept that I call full stack. And as Alp said, for the past 5 years, I've been, I would say, a little obsessed, but mainly curious about the gig economy and the digitization of talent around the world. And so today, I really would like everyone to embrace and be curious about a new way of thinking that can unlock human potential and new possibilities, not only for your career, but to help build resilient companies. If you hadn't heard my story before, I'll do an abridged version of it, but it was about 6 years ago that I was stressed out and working weekends, and I'd had my first daughter, and my friend had told me about a virtual assistant. So I reached out to a virtual assistant because I wanted to plan something for my family. And the virtual assistant came back in 2 hours and talked about a strawberry festival that was right down the street from my house that I didn't know about. So on the left are pictures from that day. And I thank the virtual assistant for finding that. But it unlocked this idea that you can press a button and find an expert who can help you achieve an outcome. And my outcome was, hey, I want to hang out with my family, but I've got this big presentation I'm working on. And so on the right are just some of the platforms and services I use. And so I dug in and really started to try to understand this new way of connecting with people from around the world. I always say for me, it was like the first time I got my red envelope from Netflix. Yes, before you could stream them online, they came in a red envelope. Or the first time I used my iPhone, or the first time I used Uber, or even now this morning when Alexa woke me up for this presentation and gave me the weather here in Seattle. There are moments in our lives and in our careers where things will not be the same, that things are going to fundamentally change. In my book, I titled it The Gig Mindset. And when I think of the gig mindset, it's the inclination for people and organizations to engage experts to drive innovation and rethink what's possible. And that expert part is really important because expertise is something that we all have, no matter what we do. And so to find the right expert to help you with the right task to produce an outcome is important. And I fundamentally believe that, organizations and people can talk about AI, which is a very powerful and disruptive technology and trend, but the gig economy represents something just as powerful and just as disruptive. There's a quote from Satya that I always liked. It said we must respond to opportunities before they become conventional wisdom. Remember, there was a time when we didn't have a computer in our pocket with an iPhone. There was a time when you couldn't press a button and an Uber would come. We have in the States here, we have taxis, and it was a terrible experience. And so there are these trends that are emerging, and they're not conventional wisdom. There's a couple of stories I like to tell of people who saw these trends but were ignored. And this is Steve Wozniak over at Apple, and he was at HP. He actually did the scientific calculator before moving over with Steve Jobs to Apple. And he had the idea for the personal computer and went to his executives at HP 5 times to try to get them to invest in the personal computer. And they said, no, there was no way that people would have personal computers. Sir Dyson, he worked at a number of different vacuum cleaner companies and was told, hey, look, this idea of this vacuum cleaner without a bag, if that was possible, somebody else would be doing it. At the time, vacuum cleaner bags made up $500 million in profit to companies. And so he went and sat in his garage and actually did 5,000 versions of the Dyson vacuum cleaner. Not only does he have the vacuum cleaner, but if I look at my house, there's curling irons and fans and all sorts of things that are inspired and produced by Sir Dyson. And the last one is, which is close to me. I was there at Microsoft and worked on the Windows Mobile team. The famous quote from Steve Ballmer saying, no one would buy an $800 phone. And today you'd be lucky if you could get an iPhone 13 for $800 US. So there are times when people don't quite see, even some of the, executives at big companies don't see big trends. So let's talk about some of those big trends. And here's 6, and I think they're all relevant to the space around distributed talent, gig economy, independent workers. Number 1, everything's moving to the cloud. Especially during COVID, that's accelerated. And so the on-prem model is continuing to evolve, and all sorts of products are moving to the cloud. The second is there's a major shift to outcomes. The one thing that the gig economy is doing is that if you want something, you're one button away from getting that outcome fulfilled. And we see that a lot in the business to consumer space with the Ubers and the food delivery and all those, and that is coming to business. The third is AI. Companies are drowning in data, but they don't have the insights that they need to be able to really stay ahead of the competition, grow their business, build intelligent features and things like that. And so people are struggling to understand what their customers are actually trying to achieve. This has all led to something called customer success, which is not that new, not that old of a concept. And so companies are spending up to 10% of their revenue on post-sale customer support. That's customer success, support, training, and all of those different things to help people be successful. The other thing, and this is near to me, is remote is the new normal. We all know that now, but it was only 2 years ago when I was advocating for engaging with global freelancers that everyone said, no, if they're not here in this office, we can't engage with them. And so that has been a huge paradigm shift over the past 20 months during the pandemic. And the last is, as many people are familiar with, is that people are choosing the freelance or independent careers over more traditional careers. And that's growing. And this is a US number, and it's much more significant around the world. All of this leads to a structural shift in the way we unlock human potential. This chart's built on top of an article that was done by Andrew Chen over at AZ16, talking about the evolution of digital marketplaces. In the 90s, we had listing services, Craigslist, Yelp, eBay, things that were designed to be sheer lists. In 2000, and this is a famous image of the unbundling of Craigslist, we saw people start to go vertical, choose an area like used goods like OfferUp, or real estate like Zillow, or things like Indeed with finding jobs, and build entire platforms and ecosystems around them. What we're starting to see now is that companies, especially in the B2B space, are going with full stack experiences. All you have to do is look at Intuit and TurboTax and their QuickBooks product to see how much they've integrated CPAs and bookkeepers into the product experience. And not only to help people with successful outcomes, those digitized engagements are helping them build intelligent features and make robust algorithms. We see it with AWS. We even see it with Pottery Barn, which is a retailer here in the United States. And you can press a button and get a remote design consultancy. And even a company called Qualtrics, and we'll take a look at them right now. Qualtrics and SurveyMonkey are basically in the same business. They do survey software. And this is an article that was written, it's a visualization of an article that was written on a blog that I follow and I highly recommend to everyone, called Napkin Math from Evan. And what he did is he said, hey, how did this company in Utah here in the United States compete with this other company called SurveyMonkey, who's Silicon Valley based? And if you look on the left, check the box of every successful company. Viral growth loops, 3-year head start, best technical talent in the Silicon Valley, has an active user base of millions, deep integrations, all of those things existed. And then here came Qualtrics. And the thing that Qualtrics did is, one, they used different talent in a lower cost area of Utah, but they focused on the experience, not just the features. And now 25% of their revenue is actually human powered experiences, helping people really get the best out of doing surveys. But it's not only, developers, designers, and people doing surveys. We're starting to see this happen with doctors, real estate agents, and even therapists. There's a company that we have access to on our medical plan here called Teladoc. And it was an amazing experience a couple of years ago when it was snowy here in Seattle in a strange way. We couldn't get out of the house and my daughter had a fever, and we pressed a button and an independent freelance doctor showed up on the other end and helped treat my daughter. Now, the Teladoc platform wasn't just connecting me with the doctor. It was a full stack experience that helped them understand a lot of data around the interaction to provide better outcomes to other customers. We're seeing it when Walmart partnered with Handy to hang TVs and do other last mile sorts of outcomes. IKEA purchased TaskRabbit because it seems that not everybody likes to put together their furniture. And even ADP, one of the largest payroll processors, bought a company called WorkMarket. We see this happen with AWS. You can press a button and get an AWS developer to help you deploy your AWS instance. They get access into the instance and you get the help that you need. And these are all certified AWS people. We see this with genealogical research with Ancestry.com. It's very hard to go look back into your family tree. And so they have experts that are in the platform that help you do that work. We even see that with a photo sharing application called Shutterfly and Tiny Prints. Seems that everybody's not great at making their own family albums, and now free of charge, they help make that book for you. But the reason that those designers are in that experience is to help the algorithms make better products and better decisions over time. I talked a little bit about Intuit, and I'm going to do something to see if I can play a video. So let's try to give it a shot.
Wow, did that just happen? So this is their big idea?
I think human interaction is overrated, but this makes quite a bit of sense.
They literally just put real CPA people in their software. Why didn't they come up with that?
Why are we so clapping, by the way?
I don't know, but if I stop, people are gonna think I'm jealous. You get a CPA? You get a CPA? You get a CPA. I like this guy's style.
TurboTax Live, now with CPAs on demand.
I always like to show that video because it was 3 years ago that I was watching actually the Super Bowl here in the United States, and I saw that ad, and it was such one of those things that I believe will become conventional wisdom, that every application and every business will provide one-click access to an expert to achieve their outcomes. And I know, having done my taxes, I need a CPA expert for sure. So the question really, after hearing some of this and thinking, and if you're attending a Future of Work conference, is what about you? How can you take what you're learning now and some of the ideas that even I've shared and really move forward? What can you do in this moment? The first thing is to understand all of these big trends that are converging and how they can help future-proof not only yourself, but your company. And you have to start seeing the connections in between the trends. I always advocate, where can you start to reach out to freelance experts to start getting experience with this idea of distributed talent? A lot of folks would come to me and they'd be very excited about all of the work that I was doing with freelancers, but they didn't see all of the learning that I had to do and the self-training that I had to do to learn how to work in this new way. Not only people from different cultures, people from different time zones, maybe even people from different languages, but how do you start engaging with people in a very efficient and productive manner? And the third part is, how do you bring this back to your team and to your organization? How do you take what's going on, do some experimentation, and actually get started creating and evolving your business? This is one of my favorite slides. I use it in all presentations, and this was a plaque that was on the desk of President Obama. And he would always say the reason he had the plaque is that he would ask himself, why is this so hard? Why is governing so hard? Why are these problems so hard? Well, as we're all thinking about the future of work, and as all we're thinking about our futures, it is hard. And it takes an investment of time on your behalf and your organization's behalf to start planning for that future, because hard things are hard. I'd like to thank you for your time. Like Alp mentioned, I have a book, The Gig Mindset. I'm in the process of recording it because it seems that a lot of people like audiobooks. So I go back to my studio every day and record a couple of pages, and I hope to get that out early next year. I have a LinkedIn newsletter that has 100,000 and growing people. I started it a year and a half ago, and I had 3 people, and I was nervous if anybody would like to read it, but it seems that it's striking a chord. And then you can also, I publish monthly on Forbes, and you can see me in some other online publications. So anyway, Alp, I hope this was helpful insight into the world as I see it.
Yeah, super helpful, Paul. Thanks a lot for sharing such amazing insights. And wow, it's been just 1.5 years. I mean, I learned so much from your newsletter. I felt like it's been longer.
It feels longer.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. And for those of you, if you even if you are nowhere near Future of Work, or you are in deep follower, in either case, you must follow Paul's newsletter. It's my weekly habit.
Well, I'm now covering. So I was covering the freelance revolution. I'm now covering the creator economy. Yes. I think there's a lot of analogous things going on and overlap between the movement of people monetizing their skills, their brands online.
Yes, and I think it's been a great fit, and I already distributed to some of the friends. Actually, next session, it will be our final session. It's about metaverse and the creative economy. And yeah, I think it's been a great addition. And I also saw you added remote work concepts into it, right? So yeah, it's just very, very useful. So
yeah, this holiday, we as a family are going to be entering the metaverse. Don't tell my girls, but they're getting a VR headset, because I think it's important that they understand this world that we're entering into. So we're going to be a metaverse family.
Yeah. How much of it is actually, you think, already like, what do you think about that in terms of the next conventional wisdom on that front? What do you think would that be?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I go back and forth. They have a Van Gogh exhibit traveling around the United States. I don't know if it's going globally. And at the end of the Van Gogh exhibit, they have this VR experience. And I watched my children and myself and my parents. So I did the full spectrum, 70 something years old, all the way down to 7 years old, and me somewhere in between. And everybody was engaged and walked away from that experience. Well produced, blown away. And so I think that there are applications where it will fundamentally change the way we learn, the way we maybe buy things and stuff. And the question is how long? You know,
Yes.
AR, VR is supposed to be, you know, change the world yesterday. And I think these things, you know, the hype cycle has to go up and down, and it'll take time. But there's no question that there's some power in that technology.
Yes, for sure. I am also very curious to see what's next. And I mean, you showed a few slides. Like I actually didn't know about Shutterfly. Like they make albums from your, that's amazing.
Well, they make albums, but you can press a button and get a designer. The challenge that a lot of SaaS companies are facing, whether they realize it or not, is they all aspire to have more AI, more automation, more intelligence, more personalized features, yet they have no way of understanding who their users are at any deep level or what they're trying to accomplish. And so they try to guess. I've sat in tons of rooms with, you know, program managers and marketing people. We're all guessing. You know, and they're intelligent people making intelligent guesses, but they're still guesses. And so there is a different way to listen. And I think that's an example of, hey, if you need an album, let me get a designer. How can they help? And now you're understanding what features to build, you know, where to apply automation and technology, where humans can actually be very helpful. And so that's why I like those examples.
Yeah. I mean, from that perspective, it actually makes a lot of sense, you know, like synthesizing AI with maybe freelance platforms, right? So that they provide such outcomes. That,
and that's the thing I think everybody's getting to. Like there's an explosion of SaaS products and products all over the place. And nobody, I think there was a time when we all used Microsoft Excel and, you know, those things, and we even put them on our resumes. I know there's somebody out there that remembers
on my resume once.
Yeah, see, like I did too, and I took the classes and I really learned it. And I think that there's such an explosion of features and software applications that people are just overloaded. And so, you know, the move to outcomes and what's going to happen when businesses say, look, I want this outcome, how you get me there is up to you. And those companies that start investing and understanding, look, Amazon's probably the best, right? Working backwards. They deliver all of my products within an hour, and they did it by starting Amazon Flex, which is a bunch of freelancers in their cars. And they said, hey, come to my warehouse, pick up the goods and drop them off to your friends. And like, they start with what the customers expect and work backwards. And in many cases, they use gig economy strategies to accomplish things that, you know, are what customers want.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the future that you're drawing, like it's actually like connecting people's expertise in a much faster and much more efficient manner, probably, which is the next big thing. And actually, we are this year we are making Future of Work Summit and Future Skills Fest, which is more directed at university students or recent graduates or even high school students. So one of the things that we are trying to cover this year is synthesizing messages, which you actually also mentioned in this, you know, like making, you mentioned about big trends converging, and we have to kind of synthesize. Like, is there any catch to, because there are so many messages, and sometimes you see the big trends, and like, is there anything that you want to recommend or suggest to the audience here today for synthesizing such big trend messages?
I think the thing that I always advocate, because I talk to a lot of students and do some mentoring still, solve your problem. Find a problem in the world that, whether it's you or your family, that you can be passionate about. And for me, it was a Saturday afternoon. I'd been working on a slide deck since 6 in the morning. I wanted to spend time with my family. That is an authentic story. And from that problem, you know, my eyes were opened, and then I started looking at the trends and what was going on. But I think a lot of times trying to solve something in the abstract that's not personal, that's not, you know, one of something you want to solve for yourself or your family, because once you find that, then you can be passionate about it. You can spend your energy on it. You can then look at the macro trends around it. And then you've got a, you know, decision. How far do you want to follow the idea? Yourself and myself. I'm all in. You're all in. And so I always encourage people to find something that's, you know, close to their
Yeah, that's what I like, you know, having conversation with you, because you reach to the conclusion very directly. Actually, it makes sense. Basically, what you're recommending is like, if you are following your purpose, which is the problem that you want to solve in a way, then you will be able to synthesize the messages, right?
That's
So,
right.
yeah.
And you'll experience them. I mean, that was always the thing. I've hired thousands of freelancers over the past 5 years, thousands, and I've done thousands of projects, and some of them failed miserably. And that's something that we never talk about. Like the idea is, oh, failure, you have to fail. And, you know, you go work at a big company and you fail. Guess what? They're not going to say, oh, thank you for failing. Here's your bonus. And so, you know, I think that the idea of experimentation, I always advocate, look, take some money and go start working with some freelancers. And if you're passionate about the space, and understand the upside and the downside, where you can work with freelancers, where you can't work with freelancers. And so it's, for me, it's all about experimentation. It's rolling up your sleeves. And I mean, I've got 3 websites that have never launched, but I learned a ton by, you know, trying to produce them and working with different people and understanding quality and cost and how I brief things in. And so I don't think you can learn in the abstract. I think you have to learn by doing.
Yes, yes. Probably one of the real key messages here. And there is no other way to learning. So
I haven't found one. I even tried to watch a video once. I even bought a class online and started watching it. And like halfway through, I was surfing the internet, looking at other stuff, buying stuff on eBay, you know. So I learn, and it could be just me personally, I learn by experimentation and doing stuff, not necessarily a 10-hour class on a given topic.
Yeah. Very exciting, Paul. Thanks a lot for you know, taking this time, and we are also super excited to see what's coming next from you.
Oh, we're just getting started out. So
Yes.
hey, thanks a ton for the invite. Always happy to support the great work that you're doing.
Thank you.
I look forward to getting to Istanbul one day.
Yes, we will make it happen. We are just waiting the pandemic to be over.
Hopefully. That would be great. Take care. Thank you so much.
All the best to Seattle. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.